So today we study about the thyroid gland anatomy. If we remove the skin, then we get into superficial fossa, and in superficial fossa we find the anterior jugular vein. Anterior jugular vein formed by the union of some mental vein and some unnamed veins, and runs vertically downwards 1 to 1.5 centimeter lateral to midline, and at the lower region it presses the investing layer of deep cervical fossa and come into the supraesternal space, and in this space it turns laterally beneath the sternocleidomastoid muscle and drain into the external jugular vein. The two veins join with each other by the jugular venous arch. So this is the structure of the superficial fossa. When you remove this, you get the investing layer of deep cervical fossa. After removing this, you get the infrahyoid muscles. If you retract these muscles or you dissected out these muscles, infrahyoid muscles, then you get the thyroid gland in the lower part of the neck. In this picture, infrahyoid muscles have been removed, and what you are seeing is butterfly-shaped thyroid gland. So it has two lobes, two lateral lobes, and one isthmus which joins these two lateral lobes. The midline structure is isthmus, and there are two lateral lobes, right lateral lobe and left lateral lobe. And the isthmus having superior border, inferior border, and anterior surface and posterior surface. The lateral lobe also having medial surface and lateral surface. So it has base and apex also, and anterior border, posterior border. There are two borders of lateral lobe, anterior border and posterior border, and three surface: medial surface, lateral surface, and posterior surface. And you can also see in the upper border of the isthmus there is a pyramidal shape lobe of the gland. This is pyramidal lobe, and one fibromuscular structure which extend between the apex of the pyramidal lobe to the hyoid bone. This is called levator glanduli thyroidi. This is a structure of the larynx, and this is trachea. Larynx consists of thyroid cartilage and cricoid cartilage, and there are also other cartilages. So this is thyroid cartilage, this is cricoid cartilage, and these are tracheal rings. Isthmus lies against the second, third, and fourth tracheal rings, and lateral lobe lies against the below below to the fourth or fifth tracheal rings and extends above up to the oblique line of thyroid cartilage. So this is the outline of the lateral lobe of the thyroid gland, and its apex extend up to the oblique line of the thyroid cartilage, and its external surface is covered by the sternothyroid muscle, and after which thyroid muscle is originated. This is the line of origin of thyroid muscle. You can see in this picture the medial surface of the upper part of the thyroid gland lie against the inferior constrictor muscle of pharynx, and its lateral surface overlapped by the sternothyroid muscle. So this is the transverse section of neck at the level of isthmus of thyroid gland, and this is lateral lobe, this is isthmus, and this is lateral surface of the lateral lobe, and this is medial surface, and this is posterior surface. This is posterior border. Posterior border separates the medial surface from the posterior surface. This is posterior surface, and there is in the lower part you can see there is a recurrent laryngeal nerve which lies between the trachea and esophagus. The posterior surface is related to the carotid sheath and its contents, and its lateral surface is covered by the infrahyoid muscles, and in the outer aspect it is covered by the sternocleidomastoid muscle. So if there is any enlargement in the thyroid gland, It can compress the trachea, causing difficulty in breathing. It can compress the esophagus, causing difficulty in deglutition. It can cause compression of the recurrent laryngeal nerve, which can cause hoarseness of voice, or it can compress the carotid sheath and its contents. You can also see that thyroid gland is covered by the pretracheal fossa. This black color outline is a pretracheal fossa, and thyroid gland also has its own covering. This is called true capsule, and the pretracheal fossa is called the false capsule. Between these two fossa, all the arteries and veins runs, and there is a venous plexus present beneath the true capsule, and the parathyroid gland also present between the false capsule and true capsule. The posterior part of the pretracheal fossa is thin compared to the its anterior part. So, in large thyroid gland, mostly mostly compress the posterior structures. So this is the vertical extension of pretracheal fossa. It completely encloses the thyroid gland, and it and it's the posterior part of this fossa thickened and adheres to the cricoid cartilage. This thickened part is called ligament of Peary. In the upper part, this fossa also attaches to the oblique line of the thyroid cartilage, and in the upper part it attaches to the hyoid bone. In the lower part, this fossa covers the tracheal rings and merges with the upper part of the fibrous pericardium. So, what you are seeing here, this is false capsule, means pretracheal fossa, and is true capsule of the thyroid gland. And beneath the true capsule, there is a venous plexus. So, to avoid hemorrhages, thyroid gland is completely removed with its thyroid gland is usually removed with its true capsule. So this is the plane of cleavage to avoid bleeding. In this picture, you can see the extent of the thyroid gland, and you can see this is a pyramidal lobe, and this is the fibromuscular band, which is known as levator glanduli thyroidi. So this is pretracheal fossa, posterior part, thickened part, which attaches thyroid gland to the cricoid cartilage. This is ligament of Peary.